With one wide receiver down, it's time for a fan favorite to shine.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Horatio Fields is going to be out for an extended period of time. We're going to talk about the ramifications of that. Does Perry Thompson have a chance to step up now and take his place in the starting lineup? And then we're going to talk about the wide receiver little things, the little things that are going to have to be polished up, that are going to have to be focused on to be able to go into Texas A&M and come out with a big win. Before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to Roback.com. I got my brand new gray Auburn hoodie that I was talking about from Roback. Feels amazing. Got the little Sailor Albee logo on it. They got a ton of Auburn apparel. They just released some sweatshirts that look pretty sweet too. They're kind of retro throwback. You can save big. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. If you don't want Auburn licensed apparel, they have every other kind of apparel that you can even imagine. So check them out. Show them some love. It's roback.com. Hugh mentioned yesterday on the SEC teleconference that Horatio Fields has a broken bone in his foot and is going to require surgery, which is a big bummer. You know, I was at practice on Tuesday, and they had just run an 11-on-11 period for a very short amount of time. And then I noticed Horatio was off to the side, and he had his shoe off. It looked like maybe his left foot. And the trainer was working on it, and I don't know why. I just didn't really pay much attention to it after that. What I assume is from there they took him off and had it gone get x-rays and whatnot and found out that he has a broken bone in his foot. It didn't look mega serious because he was putting weight on it, but regardless, if it's going to require surgery, that means it's going to be an extended amount of time out, very similar to Darrell Robinson. Even if it's minor, you're still going to have to miss a significant amount of time. And with it being a foot, you're going to have to be off that foot. And then that means you're going to have to get back in shape more than likely. So it's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate for Horatio. The good news is nothing's official yet. So I could be wrong here, but I think with only being 4 games, he may be a candidate for a medical redshirt. And I think if you can bring him back and he doesn't have any setbacks, I mean, he is a very, very valuable piece, has become a very valuable piece to this wide receiver room. Doesn't just light it up on the scoreboard, okay? He's only got 12 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. But, I mean, Hugh said the minute he stepped in, he became sort of the father of that room. Everybody looked up to him. Even guys that are probably a little more talented, are more talented than him. They look to him. They look to him to do the right thing. They look to him for leadership. He's a great blocker downfield. He's just somebody that you can really, really lean on that you know is going to do the right thing. Scored that touchdown against Ball State where he was kind of uncovered. Just been a steady guy. 2 catches here, 2 catches there. Just somebody you can rely on, and he's going to be out for a little bit. So I think, though, if you can possibly bring him back, it would be big for next year. You could almost bring that whole wide receiver room back. Eric Singleton's probably going to go to the draft, but you probably can bring that whole wide receiver room back, and having another leader in that room would be really, really big. I believe he's set to have surgery on his foot today. So I'm sure within a week or so, we'll kind of have an idea on a timeline. But like Hugh said specifically, that's a huge loss for us. He's the kind of leader of that receiver room that knew every position and gave us flexibility to do a lot of things. So big loss there. If you're like me, you weren't really sure what to expect out of a guy like Horatio when you signed him, because he was never really the number one guy when he got here from, I believe, Wake Forest. Had some good catches, had some good games, played some good competition occasionally. Had a couple touchdowns against Clemson. But regardless, the leadership aspect is the big piece. Now he's going to have to be a leader from the sideline. And I don't doubt there's no doubt in my mind that he can still do that, and he still will do that. But again, if you can get him back again for next year with a medical red shirt, that would be really big for the room. It's next man up mentality right now. And according to Hugh Freeze, he says, I think that next man up is Perry Thompson. It's time to show he's ready to earn it. Obviously, we're getting Sam Turner prepared too to help. Perry has the potential and the talent to do really good things. He's got to learn to do them consistently over and over again and with technique. He shows flashes of that, and now we just need to be more consistent. But he'll be the first one to get that opportunity. A lot to talk about there, and we're going to dive into the whole Perry Thompson situation in just a second. We'll be back right after this. As unfortunate as the injury is, this is a really, really huge opportunity for Perry Thompson. Generally speaking, when you have a guy that's rated that high and you go 2 years and not really getting a ton of production out of them, you really start to worry, do they start looking around? Or, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Do you have to start looking around? I don't know that Perry's there yet. From the aspect of considering it it's just not going to work out. But this is a really good time to sort of put that on a fast track. You heard Hugh mention the few things that I think have been keeping Perry off the field. Technique and things like that have just taken time for him to learn, because he didn't come from the program, I think, that a lot of these kids came from. And Perry is such a elite athlete. Sometimes it's those little technique deals. We just try to out-athlete the guy in front of us instead of using technique combined with that athletic ability to make things happen. He's going to have Sam Turner breathing down his neck right behind him. So he may get the first shot at it. But like, you go back to the South Alabama game and they call on you they put you in there and you have the opportunity for, a big catch, maybe even a touchdown. And do you do everything you're supposed to do on that back shoulder? Did you stack the receiver up correctly? Did you know when to break back towards the ball? And then you saw it be it looked like a really bad incompletion. I think with Perry, you're going to have to get him involved a little bit more in the short, quick game than the more complex game to start off with. He's really good at running, obviously, the go routes. He's really good at running the comeback routes. I think he's got his 2 catches are on stuff like that. But maybe some quick screens, some drags across the middle. Remember against Oklahoma, Jackson missed Horatio on like a shallow drag route that could have gone for a big game. Like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you can use Perry in. I mean, and that's a 223-pound man catching a ball across the middle that can run about a 4.4. So that could be a very, very deadly weapon if utilized correctly. what you hope is it doesn't really hinder you as far as like your play calling and your execution and things like that. You hope you don't have to kind of call around Perry, but just get him involved. Get him involved in like easy decision type stuff early to build his confidence. So it's not so much when I line up, I'm thinking about a million things versus just reacting. Not to say you can just go out there with an empty brain, an empty head, and just go. There's always going to be some decisions to make, but maybe just kind of ease him in out there. I think he's a really good blocker. I think he's a willing blocker, so you're not going to take a step back there. You just may not be able to go through a lot of the more complex stuff early on. You may have to work him into it, but I honestly think he can take that easy stuff and turn it into big plays. So this is really good for him. It's really good for him. And honestly, it's really good for Sam Turner because Perry was getting snaps, not a lot, right behind Horatio in that sort of rotation that they had going, albeit a really short rotation. Now you're going to have Sam Turner get some more snaps. And he honestly seems like he's not as athletic as Perry, excuse me, but he may be a little bit more advanced on technique already. But Perry's just such a physical freak that you just got to go. You got to go with him, and he's been here longer as well. So, again, it stinks that Horatio's out just because of what all he's meant to that room, but you got a chance to get some of your younger playmakers involved, excuse me, that I think could be really, really good down the road. Along those same lines of talking about being able to do the little things, this is not just a Perry thing, okay? This is not just a Perry thing of the small things, the technique things that need to be done to be able to be an elite wide receiver room, to be able to match the talent with actually being a really good wide receiver room. Talent is unquestionable, okay? But can you do all those little things to be able to go on the road in a tough environment and knock off a top 10 team? That's what helps separate you from the rest of the field. Are you willing to go do the little things? And what are the little things? Are you willing to run a route to the fullest of your ability, 100% knowing that you're not going to get the ball? Think about the Oklahoma game. Again, this is not picking on Cam Coleman. A touchdown's thrown over your head because you're running the route in that particular play that never gets the ball, except for this one time. And that one time could have been a touchdown. So you throttle it down a little bit. Are you going to be willing to go do those things? Are you going to be willing to block and as Hugh says, strain through the whistle? A small block could be the difference in 2 yards. It could be the difference in a touchdown. That's not fun. I played wide receiver in high school. That's not fun. Blocking's no fun. Especially when you're in a more run-heavy offense, or I'm not talking about our offense. I'm talking about my offense, when you got to block almost every other play or every play. But you got to do it because that's the difference in winning a tough game on the road or playing good and not being able to get it done in the end. It's always those little things that separate you. They're working on back shoulder fades on Tuesday. That's one of the things they work on in their position groups every week, are those back shoulder throws. And Marcus is so meticulous. Marcus Davis is so meticulous on how they run those. You got to do this because you're selling this. You got to do it this way because what you're trying to do is get the receiver or the defensive back to do this. Everything is little bitty details. Where your shoulder placement is, where your head's at. Those little things have to translate onto the field, though. And I don't think that's quite there yet. And what I'm hoping is when you look at that Oklahoma game, what I'm hoping is you see that, man, look how close we were. Even with all the dysfunction, look how close we were. If we just do those little things that we're supposed to be doing and we don't take those things for granted, we got a chance to maybe win every game left on our schedule. These guys are super, super mega talented. Cam Coleman, look, you got to be more than just a deep ball guy. You know, when you're running that quick slant across the middle, hey, it's got to be sharp. It can't be rounded. The NFL is going to want a 6'3", 200-plus guy that can run everything, not just, stop and goes. So all those small routes, too, you got to take just as serious as you do the deep balls. Now, I love some deep balls, though. throw Cam as many as you possibly can. But that's something as a group, I think they're mega talented. And I think Horatio Fields was one of those guys that was good because he's not mega athletically gifted, but he did all the little things that you got to do to be a professional, to be able to get the most out of your ability. You got to be able to do the little things that you're coached to do to be successful. So he can be maybe like another coach on the sideline. He can be like another coach at practice. And that's a good thing because everybody kind of looks up to him. So when you sub in Perry, when you sub in Sam Turner, can you get them involved in a way that builds their confidence so that their mind's not racing when they get out on the field? That's going to be the key. You going into Texas A&M, I think Texas A&M is a solid team, very talented roster. They're a little bit susceptible to the run from what I can see. So if you can get the ball moving on the ground, you have a really good option. You have a really good chance to keep that defense off balance and really utilize these wide receivers. Maybe the perfect matchup for them at this point in time versus a really good defense who doesn't really run the ball, but doesn't really run the ball on offense, but they can get the ball out quick. I don't think that's the case with Texas A&M. They're a lot like us. They want to run and they want to hit play action. And they want to get those wide receivers in space. But on the defensive side, I think we can attack them on the ground, and I think that's going to open up a lot of things for these wide receivers. So it's a big opportunity for Perry, big opportunity for Sam Turner. Hate it for Horatio Fields. We'll see how they respond this week, the rest of the week. I guess they'll probably be traveling today and then getting ready for the big one on Saturday. So another big game every week. We talked about it yesterday. It's not just this season, but every season is going to be a big game week in, week out, especially moving forward. So it doesn't get easier. There's no gimmies. So you got to pay attention to the little things. Guys, really appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening and drive home safely.